wake up, it's showtime. Set it up, Daddy.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Sid for CeditUp Production. I'm back again. I'm doing this show today. This is going to be the sports segment of my CeditUp Production. We're going to start it off with that first, and then tomorrow, you guys want to tune in tomorrow because I got my guy Marcus Anderson. We're going to be discussing the Cat Williams situation. A lot going on with that. I wanted to do that earlier, but I mean, things happen. So we're trying to get everything. I'm trying to get everything together. So we're working on that. But we'll be doing that tomorrow at 8:30. But today it's all about the Bears. And at the end of the show, we're going to discuss a little bit about Zach LaVine with the Bulls, that situation there as well. So for further ado, I'm about to bring on my first guest, which is my guy, Marcus Anderson. What's going on? Let me bring you in. Hold on. Let me bring you in. And we're hold on. What? This is all over the place. Okay. I got Reese and I brought them all at the same time. You know, I'm kind of rusty with this. Let me change some stuff up. Hold on 1 second. Okay. And why is doing this? This is crazy. Okay. Forget it. We'll keep it like this. Forget it. I got to get back into it. Yo, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I wish we could be talking about something better than a loss, you know, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's last game of the season. But the main focus of this particular show right here is to talk about Justin Fields and the bad situation with this upcoming draft and everything. So first, I think I want to kick it off with you, Marcus. I want to know what is your feelings about today's game. Let's start off with that first.
Well, first of all, what's good, guys? What's good? Maurice said, you talking about you rusty, dude. I haven't done this in a minute, man. Like, I think when I was doing my ministerial podcast, dude. So I picked a heck of a time to come back on, man. You know, anytime you play the GBPs, I don't even like saying their name. Anytime you play those guys, I don't care if it's preseason, I don't care if it's on Madden, the video game. You just want to crush these guys. So my feelings are, in a word, gang. We had this game, or I would say the game was always in earshot. It was in potential. So if we beat the Packers, a couple of things are accomplished. One, we bounced them from the playoffs. That's great. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me stop because I know you got another guest that you're just bringing on.
I'm sorry, it's Terry. We got Terry Hollins in the building.
What up,
so we got everybody on right now.
Terry.
What's good, man? Okay, I just wanted to make sure he was introduced properly. But yeah, I mean, anytime, two things, you accomplish two things for tonight's game. One, which is the most gratifying thing, if you beat them, you bounce the Packers from the playoffs. You get to say, we bounced the Packers. That's like, that feels good. Then secondly, it's a whole lot of circumstances. You win, you win 5 games more than you did on last year. That's a huge improvement. That screams playoffs for next year. So, and then you have this momentum like the Detroit Lions, and it's ridiculous to use the Detroit Lions for any example.
Yeah.
They won a slew of games last year toward the end, and they beat Green Bay. And then the next year, they're winning the division. So we had a chance to be in that position. We still do, but the momentum is everything. Momentum is everything. So this game had a lot of implications, man, as far as progress. I know we all can't wait to get to the fields. Should we or shouldn't he? But those are my thoughts about today's game.
Okay, what about you, Reese?
Yeah, of course, anytime we lose to Green Bay, I'm not happy. But I think it just shows a couple of the differences between Green Bay and where we are. First of all, it's coaching. I looked at the play calling from Green Bay, and I looked at the play calling we had from the offensive standpoint, and we were lacking, which has been pretty much all season. So I think that's one big difference. But I think the other big difference is that O-line. We had Sweat, and that Sweat effect helped us to have a little bit more pressure. But you saw what happened when we went against a team with a really good offensive line. So I think that we see that in order to compete in this division and in the NFL, we're gonna have to get that offensive line together, because without that, Fields is going to have zero time like he had today.
Correct. What's up, Terry? How you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Okay, what's your thoughts about today's game?
My thoughts about today's game: Green Bay Packers rivalry. 100+ years of football between these guys, and they came out and didn't look good. And you can attribute it to two things: not being prepared, not being focused from a player's perspective, but coaching. I go back to what Maurice was saying. It comes down to coaching. It sometimes sounds asinine that you have to get millionaires or pump millionaires up to play or do their job, but in pro sports, sometimes you have to do that. And I don't think they didn't look prepared out there. I'm sorry. They just did not look prepared out there. And this is a rivalry game. This is where you come in and you say, if you lose the other 16 games or 15 games, I should say, the two games that you should be, competing for are the two rivalry games that you play against the Packers at home and at their place. And they stunk it up the first game, and they stunk it up this last game. I look at it and it's hard for me because I played football to blame somebody else, but they just didn't look prepared out there. And then the play call, that was some horrible play call. We've been putting Getsy on the spot all season. He has the same playbook as every Shanahan tree coach assistant out there, and it just doesn't look the same.
Yeah, and that's the thing that because I think this whole year we've been talking about the play calling. And today, even the defense, we bragged upon the defense these past few weeks, but the defense looked totally out of sync. And that just shows me that they got to sign Jalen Johnson. What are your thoughts about that? Let's start with you. Let's go up to the top. Reese, what you think about what needs to be done as far as with the coaching or the defense?
Oh yeah, like you said, first of all, got to sign Jalen Johnson. I thought that was something that was lacking going into the game, because once you have him out the game, everybody else has to go up one step. And so I think we are still another good secondary player away and two good linemen away. So definitely got to sign Jalen, and then got to add, maybe in the draft or in free agency to get another solid, either backup or another nickel defensive player to go along with what we have already.
What about you? We're going to start with go with you, Marcus. What you think needs to be done, or how did you think? First of all, as far as the coaching situation, with the defense and the offense, and what was lacking today.
Well, whenever there's a lack of hearing the name Montez Sweat, you have a problem. You need another pass rusher. I can't count how many times Jordan Love could have darn near wore a watch in the game, and when they snapped the ball, looked at his watch and said, well, and he just sat there comfortably. Like, where's the pressure? Right. So the defensive packages is like, you kind of baffled at what you got guys out there. You're in an NFL uniform, so even if you are not a Khalil Mack caliber player, You got to make a play. Somebody got to make a play. You can't keep all this on Montez Sweat, even though I don't think he showed up today. But and when you now we really know in a big game, we really know what Jordan Love is, and he hasn't even scratched the surface of his ceiling. So now there is like triple emphasis on re-signing a guy like Jalen Johnson. Like, if as a corner, you're like, okay, it starts there, like, because you start by looking at your division and saying who's going to be the best player in the division. And right now, that just might be Jordan Love. So if best player in the division, then this is what. I remember when Lovie Smith said when they first hired him, he said, "My goal is to beat who? The Packers." He said. So now you have Jordan Love here who didn't miss a freaking beat. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, he slid right into that. So so now you have to draft accordingly. And it's just me. I'm not smart enough. This is just the eye test, right, fellas? Like, you got to draft accordingly. Like, okay, we got to re-sign Jalen Johnson. We need a pass rusher, and maybe you draft these guys. So you got a lot of cash in free agency, but you have their glaring holes. Now we got a lot of promise. I'm not mad at this game, to be honest with you. It was winnable. Terry, as best as we played, like you said, it was winnable. The Packers, they made mistakes. They showed that they're a young team too. But if you look at the holes that we have, they're fixable, and that's the good news. They're fixable. We're not in some purgatory where, man, we gotta wait 4 or 5 more years. We gotta get salaries off the books. We don't have any picks. We're not that. We have some fixable issues, and that's something to be encouraged about.
What's your thoughts, Terry?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My thoughts, it's all over the place because, to be totally honest, when you look at it, and let me go back to what Marcus was saying. It was not that the Bears didn't get pressure. If you put a clock on Love, he was getting rid of the ball real quickly. Their coach, they adjusted to what the Bears' true strength is now, and that's their front seven. They made the adjustment. So it wasn't that they weren't getting pressure. They weren't getting home because, Love was just getting rid of the ball real quickly. But I do agree. They do need another edge rusher. They need a 3 technique. They do need Eddie Jackson. His time is up here. I mean, re-signing Johnson, they absolutely need to do it. But to be totally honest with you, the direction that they're going in, you let this man he's an unrestricted free agent. Jalen Johnson has been an asset since the time he was drafted. He was hurt early on in his career, but he's been an asset. To allow him to become an unrestricted free agent. If I was him, just out of spite. I mean, he says he loves Chicago, but out of spite, I'd get out of here. I would roll the whole Roquan Smith deal and just get out of here because his talent, should have constituted him being re-signed sooner than, or not allowing him to become an unrestricted free agent.
Only thing about that is I think they could slap that franchise tag on him, so he just can't. Right. Bam, be gone. So that's the leverage that the Bears actually have. So the thing is with that is I know he probably was feeling some type of way because they signed Sweat like instantly when he came on board or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And to not sign the person that you actually know that brings it every game, to not sign him yet, it's like he gambled. They took a gamble and they lost because now you got to pay him. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
and he's a Pro Bowler. So you slap that on there. So
right. So now you got to pay him accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So, but now what we're about to do, let's get into the coaching situation. Luke Gessie, he's been the talk of the town for like this whole year. You know what I'm saying? What do you see his flaw? What flaws did you see of him that you figure like why he just don't get it? You know what I'm saying? And I want to start with you, Terry, because we went around.
His name is Getsy. He gets it. What do you mean he doesn't get it?
Right. So we're gonna start with you, Terry. What you think about Luke Gessie? I mean, what was the problem you think that he had coordinating this offense to the best of their ability? Because Justin Fields is that guy. I think he's that guy, and a lot of people don't. But I think he's that guy. But what do you think that Gessie could have did better with the quarterback's position?
well, Getsy's problem is the same problem that most coordinators have, is that they draft the quarterback understanding what his skill set is in college, and they bring them in and they try to convert them into what they want them to be. And that's the most foolish thing in the world. If someone's proven to you that they're successful in a different role, don't bring them in to try and change their role. That's first and foremost. And we could, we'll break our fingers pointing to other situations, but Lamar Jackson's situation, the world knew what Lamar Jackson was, or Harbaugh knew what Lamar Jackson was. First thing that they did is they converted their system into a system that made sense that he could operate. So that's the first thing. But Getsy, his problem is he does not process he doesn't process failure real good. He has a good sense of certain play calls, but he does not learn from the failures. I mean, the fact that he'll run the same play, 3 or 4 times within the sequence does not make sense to me in a pro setting. We did that in high school. We didn't do it in college, but to do it in a pro setting, pro guys, one-on-one, the 11 they're going to process what you're doing and adjust to it on the fly on the field. And that's the one thing that he does. And that's one thing with the Bears. They don't hire professional play callers. They've never, since I've been, a Bears fan, I can remember, they've never hired or brought in a professional play caller. They've never had that.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go up to Reese. Then we're gonna hit you last, Marcus. So Reese, what you thinking?
So I don't have the experience of Big Terry with football specific, but I am familiar with sports and leadership. And any leader has to adapt to the people that he have.
Absolutely.
The greatest leaders have the ability to adapt to what they have, not what they want, but what they have. And so I think with Justin Fields, you got a unicorn, similar to what Lamar is in Baltimore. And one of the things that Baltimore did was they saw what they had and they built and they adjusted around him. And I think that's what's lacking. The other thing is, I think Gessie, he, like you all say, he comes from the same tree. He has the same plays, and he's really good at scripting. Where he lacks is adjustments. Once he gets past those scripted plays, and then it's time to adjust on the fly, that's where he's lacking. So another thing that I saw is, I don't trust his pedigree. Because he actually came from another unicorn. He had Aaron Rodgers, and any scheme is going to look good with a unicorn like Aaron Rodgers. So once again, you have to be able to adjust to what you have, not just what you wish you had.
Yeah. What about you, Marcus? What you thinking about Luke Gessie?
Well, let me be clear. I'm not a Gessie guy. I'm not even an Eberflus guy. Although I think Eberflus has got a little credibility over the last few weeks. I digress. Having said that, let me play devil's advocate just a little bit and defend Gessie just a little bit. We have one stud receiver in DJ Moore. We have an O-line that we could have gotten from the children building. I'll go down from it. You know what I mean by that. Or us. We could have been a front four. So when you have limited resources, you kind of like limit your play calling, so to speak. So you don't open up your book. That said, I'm going to go back into that first Lions game. Because we were winning that game on our very last drive, and we run the ball 2 times, and then we wait to 3rd and long, and we don't convert. And I said to myself, I was at work. I was supposed to be working. I was watching TV in the lobby. And I said to myself, the Lions about to come down and score almost unabated, right? And they did just that. We lost that game. So dumb play calling has become, how they say, a good coach is going to get you at least 2-3+ wins. Or, because you just good play calling alone. And I think that this coach has cost us some games down the stretch. A ton of them last year. So I'm just going to say play calling, which would translate to game situation IQ, is just not there for him. Again, there are some things that you could say he doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have a great offensive line. He has one weapon, which alludes to, and I know you're going to get to the segment of what should we draft, but that's, chronologically speaking, if we don't have these things, then this is what we have to draft.
And the thing is with that, it said that we need another wide receiver. I don't know what happened to Donnell Mooney. I don't understand how he fell off the map as soon as DJ Moore came aboard. He should have been at. It should have been that one. They should have been that 1 and 2, and Claypool's was supposed to be that 3. You know what I'm saying?
It was supposed to be a nice receiving core.
Exactly. So now because if let's say for instance Claypool would have stuck and been what we thought he was going to be, we wouldn't be talking about a quarterback or drafting a wide receiver right now. You know what I'm saying? This got us in a situation that okay, now we need a receiver, or do we need a quarterback? You know what I'm saying? I'm a Fields guy, and the reason I'm a Fields guy is because I think he doesn't have the weapon. You can't. We just got DJ Moore this year. So for him to get like 1,300 yards in the first year with the Bears, and I think he would have got more because Fields was out 4 games.
4 games.
So right. So you figure if he was he easily probably could have had like 1,500 yards, you know what I'm saying, or more, a little bit more. So and for him to get shafted and not being a Pro Bowl is crazy to me, but I digress on that. But I think the and we're about to get into the draft in a few seconds, but I want to talk about Eagles because I mean when he took over the defense, it seemed like it started to pick up. Everything started to fall into place once he took over, but then once they got Sweat as well, you know what I'm saying? And I think I think the coach is doing too much. You know what I'm saying? As far as coaching the defense and then worried about what the offense is doing, then you got to be the overall coach of everything. You know what I'm saying? But I think his main focus was on the defense and letting Getsy do whatever it seemed like, you know what I'm saying? So with Eagles, what do you guys think? Do you think he should stay or do you think he should go? I want to start right there because that's the big question because I'm hearing some people say if Eagles stay, Fields stay. If Eagles leave, Fields leave. So what do y'all take on that? Let me start off with let's go with Reese. Let's go with Reese first, and then go around the horn again.
Okay. Well, I think I like Eberflus simply because of what he did under adversity. You know, you got him. He loses his defensive coordinator, and it could have easily had just gone down the drain real fast. But I think his ability to rally his team and to actually excel in on the defensive side, spoke volumes to him. So I think if you just allow him, just from a leadership standpoint and a cohesion standpoint, I could go with that. On the other side, if you're looking to look at this going forward and build the right way, because the Bears have always been doing things backwards, so now we're in a position where if he stays, now we got to get an offensive coordinator and it's all out of sorts, so I mean I like what he did, but if they were to let him go, which it doesn't look like they're going to do, I can understand that because you at some point you got to do things step by step in the right way, and we haven't done that yet.
Correct. What about you, Terry? Let's go your way, then we go to Marcus.
Well, my take on Eberflus is he's excelling in what he's great in. He's a defensive great mind. Unfortunately, he's not a very good head coach, or at the very least, he's not a good judge of character. Because on top of the defensive coordinator, I think they lost a special teams coordinator. They've lost one of their quarterback coaches. It's not just the defensive coordinator. He's lost a bunch of different guys that he hired and brought in. So that's a direct issue, because if you don't have the wherewithal to bring in good guys to lead your team, and you're going to have to take on and shuttle all of those responsibilities because that's shortcoming. I mean, the fact that he took over the team and they started excelling like the second week after that is just a testament to how good of a defensive coach he is. The perfect world would be fire him, bring in another head coach and leave him as defensive coordinator. We know that doesn't work like that. It never worked like that in history, but I mean, he's excelling in what he's good in. He's just not a good head coach. I mean, the fact that you have Getsy, who never called plays in his life, who had a GOAT in Rodgers in Green Bay. I mean, he didn't have to show or prove anything. Just like when they brought in what's his name from Kansas City. I hate to even say his name.
Nagy.
So
Nagy.
Nagy, when they brought him in. I mean, and you see Nagy, and I know this is a Bears topic, but my point is with the Bears, Nagy struggles to do what he needs to do with Kansas City right now. So that again, that goes to management and not being good and choosing the right people. But to answer your question more directly, I mean, I would give him a shot because I mean he's been good as a defensive coach, and perhaps he could bring in somebody, and maybe Eberflus Getty isn't going anywhere, so that's going to be the issue. So if you run away from Fields, if you blame all this on Fields, and you bring in Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever they may bring in, you're going to have the same exact issue. Just let me add this, and I know we want to switch on. I think that they talked about continuity. That's why I don't think they're going anywhere, because Virginia McCaskey just turned, what was it, 103? She mandated a Super Bowl.
Money. That's what she
mandated a Super Bowl before she left this earth. If they bring in another quarterback, that's at least another 3 or 4 years, unless Drake May or Caleb Williams is a superstar.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what we have to deal with. So,
Gotcha. Last, Marcus.
Man, I got some dramatic terms.
Don't go Cat Williams on us.
I don't think anybody could do Cat Williams. Wow.
Cat Williams and T.I.
Oh, goodness. Like Corey Holcomb, them type of cats, man. But I mean, you know what? I said earlier at the top of the show that maybe Eberflus.
You got it right.
That's all right. Maybe he earned another go at it. Maybe, given how today's game, I'm not gonna put too much stock in it, right? Because Green Bay was winning you in. We going into hostile territory. What are the chances we're going to really win that game anyway? So I'm not going to put stock in that. But so let's we talk about the stretch that the Bears just had. Did Eberflus do enough to retain his job? Maybe. But when I just said I'm going to stop and turn on the dime, I'm with you, Terry. I don't think we should bring him back, man. And here's why. In a nutshell, today's game, and like I said, I can't put too much stock in today's game, but this is what lies ahead of us. The Green Bay Packers just showed us they're not about to go anywhere for the next few years.
Youngest team in the NFL.
Right. Youngest team in the NFL. Okay, and we're the third youngest team, which they noted today. But if you can't make in-game adjustments, if you can't, if you can't, he got outclassed. He was outcoached in packages, adjustments. This is what's facing you against your rival. You play these guys twice a year, unless you're looking at being a wild card every year. So I just think that you got guys out there like Eric Bieniemy. You got coaches out there that maybe you could say, hey, let's start over. And what comes along with that is the quarterback. And I know you're gonna get to that. I know that's a whole different segment. But I just think Eberflus, man, I think that he's run his course. In my opinion, I think that he's run his course because I don't think he's the smartest coach in the division. He's just not. And when you identify that you're not the smartest coach in the division, where do you go from here? You have to develop players. As you hit on, Terry, the Bears have never been developers of football. Like, I hate to say that, it pains me to say this. The Packers are just outright football people. As to what the Bears, they're owners. The Bears are their toys. They're probably real estate owners, condos on the Gold Coast. Oh, we own the Bears too. Let's get anybody to protect the gate. They're gatekeepers. Yeah. And we don't care about developing football players because the Bears can go over 17, and I'll be like, this of gravy. We don't care if the Bears are winners. We're gonna all look at us. We bared out, except for Terry. We spread out right now, and we just lost. You know what I'm saying? This is who we are. We don't care, and management knows that. So they're not gonna be quick to get somebody who's intelligent or actual football people. So I would say that Getsy, Getsy too. I would say that they all get it.
I like how you gave that Jay-Z reference Go
No, I
over
came
A
up
to
the door with
Z.
that. I came up the door with that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. All the people that you named, Terry, that he had brought in, actually the defensive coach, the offensive coordinator, and special team, all of them gone. So what that tells me, you don't know how to judge character.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But the only reason I think they're gonna keep him is because you start seeing these little footages of him clapping it up with the team before the game, giving them names and stuff like that. That stuff was probably going on from the beginning of the year, but now it's getting close to the end of the year. They trying to push the narrative that the team like him. He's likable coach. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't think, and like you said, Terry, I don't think, because I've never seen it done before. You get fired as a head coach and they hire you as a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. I've never seen that done before in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think a head coach coming in, let's say, for instance, Jim Harbaugh, I don't think he's going to say, yeah, he's going to bring his own guy in, put it like that. He'll want to bring in his own guy. So I don't see that happening. And I'm trying to see what defensive coordinators out there that you can actually fill that role. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to need somebody that has the same type of philosophy or idea or mindset as Eagles, because that's the way they rolling. You know what I'm saying? They look pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you, like you said, you got to get an edge rusher, and you got to get somebody to take over Eddie Jackson spots and things like that. So it's a lot of things they got to do, but it's not a lot of things they got to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things they got to do, but it's not that much because they got the resources as far as money and draft picks. You know what I'm saying? So they got it. My problem is when they was on this run, like say for instance, was it Tyson Bagent? When he was quarterbacking, they had Jenkins and Wright on the same side. Made Tyson Bagent look like a Pro Bowl to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Then when Fields came back, they moved Jenkins back to the other side, and then you got a rookie over there. And it's like Fields was getting a lot of pressure, you know what I'm saying? A lot of pressure, and then it made him seem like he holding the ball too long, you know what I'm saying? And that got the, excuse my friends, that Nate Davis.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, that was your first comment on the Bears thread. That's how much you hate that guy. That was your first comment.
Maybe because he missed like about 3 or 4 games in the beginning for personal reason and injuries, and then a game that we don't need, but we wanted to set an example going into the next season.
Yeah.
Then you get hurt, and now Justin Fields getting his head wrong. He got to go out for a play because he got his head wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I just they got to do something with the offensive line, and I think Jenkins and Wright on the same side is the way to go. They got to get a center, because it was a few times in this game that the hike, the center was hiking it too low. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm on my Cat Williams stuff.
No, that wasn't even the worst.
Did you say hike? I'm sorry. Did you say hike? Like we had the Gardens fan throwing
Yeah, I said hike.
He didn't say snap. He said hike.
I said hiker.
I'm sorry, Terry. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Terry.
I forgot what I was gonna say. No, a couple of times the center, I forgot his name a couple of times, and I am absolutely sure they're gonna point it out. He was just standing there like with his arms up in the air. I mean, there were a few times. How did somebody run past the center is beyond me, but it happened to him more than a few times. That dude is the absolute worst.
Hey, Terry, and that's what I was talking about as far as play calling and adjusting, because they did a couple of stunts, and it confused the Bears. And so when the Bears weren't getting home, I'm like, why aren't we running stunts as well? So that's what I'm talking about, in-game
Oh yeah, that comes down to coaching, but stunning. And here's the crazy part
adjustments
about
on both sides.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, he's freezing up. That's why he's freezing up. You good, Reese? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying, so those type of adjustments, but yeah, definitely got to get that offensive line. We talk about Fields. I'll talk more in detail about that. But see, this is the thing reason why I'm a little bit more patient with them, because we did a complete tear down last year, and so to have a complete teardown with the adversity and injuries. I know all teams have injuries, but man, the Bears had a lot of injuries. Just imagine if we had what's the defensive end that went down with the ankle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he,
Okay.
I forgot his name, but yeah, Sway came in. Ngakwe. He breaks his ankle the next game, so we didn't even get to see that whole package together. So like I said, with this teardown, with the adversity, that's why I'm a little bit, behind Eberflus, because of the fact that's a lot to handle in 1 year, and to come out 7-10, I think says something about his leadership ability.
Yeah, because they actually won more than they did last year, so you actually improve. It didn't look like it don't feel like it, but they actually improve. You know what I'm saying? So now we're going into a situation. This next segment, we're talking about the draft. The draft is coming up. We secured the number 1 draft pick. I'm not going to spend long. I'm not going to talk long about it because I know you guys know where you guys want to go with it. But I'm going to start with you, Marcus. With the first pick, you're on the clock. The first pick, the Chicago Bears is on the clock. You're the GM. What is your move?
I know you lay it in with the first pick, which means we still can trade the pick or try to get a haul. But I've been doing complete 180s within 24 hours of time. The first pick of the draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. And I like
me sick.
I know. Me and you talked about this. We texted about this. It's like to transcend sports. I love Zach, but we're better without Zach, right? But I love Zach. I love Justin Fields. I do. But I'm not smart enough to know what polls know. I'm just not. And if polls, I'll put it to you like this. I'm not mad at him if he keeps Fields or if he drafts Caleb Williams. And the cons or the negative with drafting Caleb Williams is you have players that's ready to go now. You reset. But the pros are, if you are the GM, you are the leader of the Chicago Bears, the staple of the NFL, the pillar of the NFL. You are charged with analyzing every detail of what this team needs. And if he says, I like Caleb Williams better than Justin Fields, then I can't let the fact that I like Justin Fields supersede that. I literally just told you Justin Fields, he's going to run for 90 yards, 45 to 90 yards. He's going to throw at least 2 touchdowns. That's the 300 yards that we need that Jordan Love throws. So we're good. But what happens when we got a bad offensive line? Or what happens when somebody gets hurt on the left side or the right side? We need a guy that's not holding on the ball too long, a guy that can make throws, a guy that can go through the proper progressions. And again, if he says, so I'm basically on the fence. If Poe says Caleb Williams is that guy, then he's that guy. And real quickly, I know you guys got to get on and say something about this. If Caleb Williams, the one thing I don't like about him is he's pouty. I'm not talking to the media. You will get crushed here in Chicago, New York, any of these markets. I don't want that. Keep that stuff in where you are. Even Justin Fields, when he gets killed, he's talking to the media. When he has had terrible games, he's talking to the media. So I don't like everything about Justin Fields. I'm sorry, about Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. But if Poe says, and you got to give Poe some big props with the moves that he made that people didn't think would pan out. I mean, the guy from Pittsburgh, y'all said his name earlier, that didn't work. So that's a strike. Okay, but he's redeemed himself. He's fleeced everybody with these picks and things that he got coming up. So he seems pretty smart. So if he says Caleb Williams, I'm not mad.
All right, Reese, go ahead with yours. Terry, you go last. I think you probably got a lot to say about it. Go ahead, Reese.
All right, so I'm gonna take it from this standpoint. Number 1 draft pick quarterbacks less than 50-50 success. All right. So what I'm looking at where the Bears are, and I'm looking at who they have. I know what Justin Fields' floor is. His floor is decent. You know, he's definitely a starter in the NFL who can be better with better players around him. So I already know that. You know, I also know that we can get a haul once again for this first round draft pick. You know, so what I'm doing, I'm trading, trying to get Marvin Harris Jr. My next pick after that is an offensive lineman, and then I'm going from there. So that's where I'm standing, because I'm just looking at the floor of Justin Fields, because the ceiling can be off the chart once you surround them with actual NFL players. Like I said, this is the first year after a full teardown, and he hasn't looked bad, and he's handled the adversity along the way as well, like you guys said earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, got Terry on the clock. Let us have it.
You know what? I have to give you two different perspectives, and y'all know if you're from Chicago, all I listen to is ESPN 1000.
Okay.
And one thing that they brought to light was that trusting, and it goes back to what Marcus was saying, trusting the GM, because we trusted him to do all of these other picks. And I mean, he's, as much as we've been critical of him, when you look back and look at all of his draft picks and his free agent signings, I mean, he's at a solid B plus. I mean, you can look at, you know, the receiver, and I forgot his name also.
Claypool.
Yeah, you look at Claypool. You look at the Velus Jones draft pick, which he's starting to pan out a little bit. But me personally, I'm going to trade back. I'm going to trade back probably just as far as I can, that I can still draft Marvin Harrison. And when you look at it, I pulled it up. The Commanders are definitely going to want to play if the Patriots are going to try to play. The Cardinals are right now sitting fourth, so they would certainly automatically take Marvin Harrison. So you can't trade past that if you're talking about doing business with Marvin Harrison. But the whole Caleb Williams thing, I mean, he has his flaws just like any other person. You know exactly what you have in Fields. I mean, Fields, in terms of his of what he can give you, you know, Caleb Williams can't give you that. You know, we don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be in a pro setting, and especially, like I said, if you bring Caleb Williams and you insert him into this exact same operation, you're going to see worse. You're going to see a whole lot worse than what you see now out of Fields. But the other thing that I take is one quote that Olin Kreutz said: "Put $20 million into $200 million into the offense the same way you did into the defense, and then you judge him properly." They have not invested in the offense the same way that they've invested in the defense. I mean, you're talking about Edmonds, you're talking about T.J. Edwards, Gordon, and Briscoe last year. You talk about Tariq Stevenson this year and Dexter this year, bringing in Montez Sweat. $200 million spent on the offense when you're trying to evaluate. I mean, spent on the defense when you're supposed to be evaluating your quarterback. That's unfair. They didn't do anything to help him out. Now, DJ Moore was obviously the cherry on top. I mean, that was a beautiful thing, and you see what he did when he got a weapon. I mean, over 1,300 yards. DJ Moore, he set career numbers in every single statistic.
Yeah.
You know, catches, touchdowns, receiving yards in a first year with a quarterback that you didn't play with last year. So that tells you how important it is to have an asset and have a weapon, and how important it is to have a complementary weapon and protect him so he can be available for those 4 games that he didn't play. Now, jumping back to the whole draft part, we could all point to, you know, the Jamarcus Russells, I forgot his name, George from Illinois. You talk about Rick Meyer. Remember
Jeff George.
Jeff George. Remember, the Bears traded 2 first-round draft picks to Seattle for Rick Meyer when he was washed up. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf, now, I saw an interview with him with Dan Patrick. Ryan Leaf has it figured out. You know, he was probably the greatest football talent ever. And this guy didn't have it. He was drafted second, and he just never could figure it out. He's figured it out now, and he said, give Justin a chance, because the things that you don't do is you haven't given him a true chance to win. You haven't put the right resources around him, play calling included. So it's a tough pickle, because the Bears are in a unique situation. You can trade Fields. Now, the trade market is saying a 2 or a 3rd round draft pick for him, which I think that's totally BS. But you're talking about a haul for the number 1 draft pick. If you're not getting 3+, you know, first round, if you're not getting the same package basically that Seattle got for Russell, I wouldn't. I'm doing something different.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned it in the group, how they were saying GMs are saying that Justin Fields is a third. I mean, is good for like maybe a third rounder.
Yeah, second, third rounder. But listen to all of these other GMs of how they're 19 teams. And these are some of these reports that they put out there, these social media and these bloggers. 19 teams ready to roll with Justin if he becomes available.
That's crazy.
19 teams. That's more than half the NFL.
And it seems like they're trying to push. I mean, even a lot of the analysts try to push Justin Fields to another team because they keep on saying he's not ready to get Caleb. You got to get Caleb. My thoughts on it is I'll move back to as much as I can to get Marvin Harrison Jr. as well, because dude is 6'3", 6'4".
I just want to interject. You just hit it right on the nail. You said a lot of analysts are pushing, or in other words, they're lobbying for this trade or saying that this is probably the best thing. These analysts, these are guys who are at games. They're at practice. They're watching.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching what is Justin Fields doing to become better. And again, I know I'm sounding so anti Justin Fields right now. I like Justin Fields, but the standard right now, and I just said I'm not gonna put too much stock in this game as far as the Bears' overall performance, but I'm looking at one player and one player only, and that is Jordan freaking Love. That dude, he sat on the bench for 3 years, just like Aaron Rodgers did, and he learned. And he came out today, and he displayed. And he and Justin Fields are worlds apart. I'm sorry. Now, your point, Terry, that doesn't mean that Caleb Williams is about to be right there. So I get that. I get it. But it goes back to Ryan. It goes back to Poles. Poles is saying that I see this guy's talent. And this guy is like, it's just like, again, to transcend sports. What's our GM for the Bulls, Acme. And he drafted
Williams.
No, in Denver, the big guy.
Oh, AK.
Yeah. What's the name he drafted? Jokic. I know 48, but he drafted Jokic. Nobody thought Jokic would be Jokic. You have to put a little stock in what these GMs know, because one thing about it is they have advisors on this side and that side, and their assignment is literally to eat, sleep, breathe the progression of the players that they're thinking about drafting. And if they are watching everything that Caleb Williams is doing and said that I see him better in this package, and whatever the dominant part of the division is, if that we have to contend with, and if Caleb Williams is going to do better against the Packers, or if Caleb Williams is going to do better, and if Poe says that's the case, I cannot be mad at that. I can't, because Justin Fields was his third, fourth year, and he can run, but is that going to get us the division?
What is this? Go ahead, Terry.
Let me add this, and this jumps right back to what Marcus is saying, and it's a failure of the Bears. Goodness gracious, I lost my train of thought.
Now we the golden boys.
No, my problem is it goes back to what you do in system. The Bears have and we've all talked about this for years. You teach in high school, you teach in college. For some strange reason, you get to the Bears and they do not develop quarterbacks. That's where it comes down to. You have to get a system in, and you have to do development and training. I couldn't name our quarterbacks coach. That's an issue.
Yeah.
Right. And see, that's what I was about to say. It's unfair to compare even Fields and Love, because like you said, Love got a chance to sit behind Rodgers and watch. Fields, that was the plan, but was 3-4 games into the season, the quarterback gets hurt, now he's thrust into it. So he's never had opportunity other than when he got hurt those 4 games, but he was watching, some guy from Division III play, so yeah. I think that's what I said. The potential is there. And so, like you said, if he Poles looks at it and he makes a judgment, I'm all for it. But I also think that Poles is smart enough to know what has transpired from the inside standpoint. And like I said, if I'm a betting man and my career is on it, yeah, I may get the scrutiny of, oh, you had the number 1, 2 pick 2 years in a row, and you didn't draft a quarterback. But I'm also gonna say, yeah, but look at the haul I get those 2 years, and I'm gonna ride with that, especially when I know I got a commodity like Fields sitting up that I can look at.
Okay, here's my thing. Okay, I won't get Caleb Williams. I'm not, and I don't even watch college football. I don't. I'm not going to say I'm a guru of the college football or anything like that because I don't watch it. I mean, it's just too much going on. There's too many teams, and it's just too much. And they don't play in those kind of bowls. They the good players don't play in the bowls. So it's like once you get all giddy for these teams, Caleb Williams ain't even playing. Like you don't get a chance to see him because when you do want to see him, they're not playing. My thing is with Caleb Williams and the haul they could get, like you just mentioned, Reese. If the Bears was to go and say, let's trade that pick and trade down, why not draft the quarterback down in the draft? Because there's still gonna be some quarterbacks that's still there. Let's say, for instance, the quarterback from Washington. Let's just say he's still there at some point. You know what I'm saying? From the college, what's his name? Michael
Penix. Michael Penix.
Yeah. Why not get him just to be just a backup? Why not draft him? Because if the Justin Field thing doesn't work, you could gradually bring him into play, and you can still trade Justin Field like later on. Because I know, Marcus, you had mentioned.
I posed a question like that earlier this week in the group.
Right, but you were saying that you still drop Caleb Williams and keep Justin Fields and I was more like, I thought about it, I said, no, because you lose kind of value on Justin Fields because you figure like he's not playing right. So what other team's going to give you what you actually want? You know what I'm saying? But if I'm the Bears, I'm drafting a 6'4" wide receiver with good hands and speed, the opposite side of DJ Moore. Because if you get any quarterback, I think any quarterback with those two on the side will dominate. It'll make you look like a genius, a quarterback. Even Tyson, I don't want to say that Tyson Bagent. I don't think not put him in that position, but any qualified quarterback with those two receivers, I think you got it. He will dominate. You will dominate.
You're wrong. Maybe it does get a lot easier for Fields once he gets the weapons. Maybe it does. That's why I said I'm not. I did preface it. I did say that I'm not mad if we keep Fields, but I'm not mad if we draft Caleb Williams. I'm not mad, man, because we're right there. We got a lot of money to spend. We got a lot of options, and we got Charlotte's number 2 pick next year too. I'm sorry, their 2nd round pick next year too. So we could trade that. We could do. It's a lot of ways we can go to get people around Fields. I'm
gonna be mad, man. If they get away from Justin Fields, I'm gonna be mad because I'm gonna pose this question to you three. If it doesn't work with Justin Fields next year, let's just say if it doesn't work, but you still got Marvin Harris and you got DJ Moore, what do you think their record would be? Do you think their record is gonna be bad enough for them to be in not the first pick, but in the top 5? Because you figure like it's more quarterbacks coming out next year as well. Even though everybody want to say Caleb Williams is the guy, but the next tier is coming up too. So why jeopardize a hell of a wide receiver that you could build around too? And next year, if you figure the Bears not going to be good next year, you can still draft a quarterback next year. There's a thought process. I mean, but my question is to you guys: if the Bears was not to be good next year, what do you think their record would be? Would it be bad enough to be in the top 5 draft next year to get a quarterback?
I don't think so. But see, that's why I'm willing to trade again. Because remember, we got the number 1 pick that we still held last year, and we got Charlotte's pick this year. We should be able to do the exact same thing. We trade with a team. We should be able to get the number 1 pick for this year and the number 1 pick for next year. So Bears 7-10 this year. Injury ridden, start off, gave away the first 4 games of the season. I'm saying if they just develop on a natural curve and get these free agents, you at least 10 wins, right? But once again, if you don't make the playoffs, or if Fields doesn't work out, he's only 24 years old, so that's one. You still got another swing at the plate next year to draft a quarterback. So that's why I'm willing to, instead of putting all my eggs in one basket and drafting this dude who could have less than a 50% chance of being successful, I'm rolling it. I'm doing that same haul, and I'm giving myself a lot more options going forward.
Because you're basically doing the same thing to Caleb Williams that you did to Justin Fields in a certain, and it's sort of the same way, but a little bit different because you kind of pushing Williams to be number one coming in the door. He's starting up off the top. Fields had a couple of games to play under Mitch Trubisky, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, that ain't what you want to do, you know what I'm saying? But with Caleb Williams, he's coming in the door starting, you know what I'm saying? And every quarterback is not coming in like CJ Stroud, you know what I'm saying? You got Brandon, got Young, who's looked terrible, you know what I'm saying, with the squad that he's on. So I don't know, man. I'm just figuring, like, why not pick a quarterback like later on in the draft or somewhere in the draft that you figure like it's a few quarterbacks coming out, you know what I'm saying? Or if they don't work with Fields, why not just draft a quarterback next year? If you figure that they're not going to be good enough next year, the following year, we ain't never really had a good quarterback anyway, so we should be used to that bullshit. But we ain't never really have a wide receiver of this core with DJ Moore and Marvin Harris. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather deal with that and put in a quarterback. Why not get Russell Wilson there?
And here's one more option with what you just said, right? Yeah, because that's an option. So let's say you roll and you get the haul again, right? You get these draft picks in, all right? Field doesn't work out, but the rest of the team is looking good. You can always trade for an established quarterback like, Denver tried to do or other teams have done because you have all those draft picks. So that's what I'm saying. It's multiple ways of win if you trade that draft pick instead of just putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. What you got, Terry?
One thing, and it goes back to what you said, and I'm happy you said it. The Bears have really never had a great quarterback. Never. And media and some fans, especially older fans, they play on that. They want to see this quote unquote, and I hate the term generational quarterback because count on your hands how many quote unquote generational quarterbacks won Super Bowls. Then talk about how many have won multiple Super Bowls. Joe Montana was certainly not a generational talent being drafted in the second round, and he's multiple Super Bowls. Terry Bradshaw, absolutely, they call him the worst, Super Bowl quarterback in history. Troy Aikman was not a generational talent, solid quarterback and a Hall of Famer. But we we get caught up on this generational talent and bring this guy in. And there was a report that they ran about Super Bowl quarterbacks, period, and how many are drafted, first overall or in the top 5 that actually do anything worth, noting in terms of Super Bowls. You look at Dan Marino was a generational talent, got to 1 Super Bowl and never got back ever in his life. So, that 83 draft, you look at the quarterbacks that came out of that draft. You can say that you want that generational talent, they can get out there, but it doesn't always translate into wins. My thing is a solid quarterback, which Justin Fields is. If you put solid players around him, if you draft Marvin Harrison, if you get the tackle, if you get the guard, not the guard, but you get the tackle in the center and you reset the offensive line and, you put guys in their position where they're supposed to play, Jenkins on the right side in particular, you open up the possibility of having a superstar, offense out there. You don't have to have the superstar quarterback. You can go and Brady is always brought up, 4th round pick or 5th round pick or whenever he was drafted. So you can hit or miss, but it's all about system. For the most part, it's about system 100% of the time, because some players can elevate the players around them. Some need players around them to elevate the team itself. And it seems like this Bears team is one of them. But I go back to a topic that we were talking about earlier. You look at that Shanahan coaching tree, and Matt LaFleur is one of them. You look at all of the coaches that come from the Kyle Shanahan tree; they're all in the playoffs this year. So it's something to say about that. But the one bad part about that is you look at Luke Getsy, who's indirectly part of that, because he's a Matt LaFleur, coach. His skill set doesn't translate into that. So there are a lot of factors that play into that.
Go ahead, Marcus.
I was going to say Brady just had the little research. He was drafted 6th. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
The 99th player. After you guys have had some awesome logic, and I mean, you know more than I know. But just with my eye test, I'm just going to be on the fence. I'm going to be on the fence of it. Because you get the weapons around Justin Fields, you get a Marvin Harrison, you get I think we were the 4th leading rushing team, or were we the leading rushing team? So I think the run game
number one. Bears are number one.
The run game is good. The run game is good. But you need more weapons around Fields. If you get a receiver, you get a better offensive coordinator to continue to develop Fields, then I'm okay with moving forward with Fields. But then maybe that's just not Poe's perspectives or his plan moving forward. Maybe he doesn't want to invest in certain things. Maybe he wants to get younger. He wants to re-up the contract where he doesn't have to pay a quarterback for 4 years.
Reset,
I don't know what his visions are. What his vision is.
See, that's the thing that pisses me off, because I mean, if it's a money issue, the same thing you did with Raekwon Smith, you know what I'm saying, and Jalen Johnson, you being cheap.
Yeah, but then that's a McCaskey thing. Then Poles is under instructions at that point.
Yeah,
listen, we're not paying. That goes for Reinsdorf too. They do these things. They put their gatekeepers in front to watch the money, and we know what that's about. We don't have the talent. Let's hope something happens. But it's all about the money with them and the bottom line. But if I'm okay with Fields, I like Fields. I really like Fields. I actually hope he stays. But I maintain, if he happens, what the heck is going on out there? But if he happens to get
boys in the hood,
I know, man. I actually live literally right across the street from the police station, but that don't mean that. But if he happens to get Caleb Williams, then he knows more than what I know. And there's because you could still get Caleb Williams and still get. So if you trade, if you get the number 1 pick and you spend that on Caleb Williams, you possibly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you still got the number 10 pick. You can throw in that next year's 2nd round pick, maybe your own 2nd round pick. You just won't have a 2nd round pick. Maybe you can still trade up and get a very good receiver. And it's not over. Just because you don't get Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't mean that you're not going to get a good receiver back. I think if you get Caleb Williams, if he's the best player in the draft, then that's where you start.
But you're not getting that receiver.
You're not going to get that receiver. But
I know what you're saying.
So what if Caleb Williams is Matt Mahomes? What if he's Mitch Trubisky?
What you talking about? This Mahomes right now?
No, Mahomes just won championship. Mahomes just won championship. Okay, what if he's Lamar Johnson? What if he's Mitch Trubisky? We don't know. Yeah. But one thing I'm sick and tired of is, man, we passed him. We didn't even draft him. I'm tired of that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because we could have had Randy Moss. I mean, but the character issue, they had a chance to get Randy Moss, but the character issue, they didn't go that route. That's why that's why I want them to get Harrison, because he has no baggage, none. You know what I'm saying? And he's from a breed. His father played the game. You know what I'm saying? So he know the ins and outs. He's not going to get in trouble and anything like that. Not saying Caleb Williams is. Are we in more need of a quarterback or a receiver right now?
Receiver and tight end.
Receiver, but what is the age-old adage? You take the best player, right? Remember what happened to that? Is that, I mean,
well, Caleb Williams
is that out the window, fellas?
Huh? Caleb Williams isn't the best player in the draft.
Harrison could be the actual best player in the draft. It's just that nowadays, with the value of quarterback being put so high, nobody's going to risk taking him number 1. Yeah. He could be the best player in there.
But we all know that the best, the most, as they say, the most important position in football is in sports.
And I hate
the quarterback.
I absolutely hate that.
Well, there's a little credence to it. I mean, you got a guy that won 7 championships, right? And he's You know what I'm saying? So all thing I'm saying is, if there's an opportunity to take this guy, and he's, and you say he had generational talent to turn, I get it, but it was an opportunity to take a guy who can be last year's Matt Mahomes or this year's Lamar Johnson. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad at y'all three. I'm gonna come back. Hey, man,
Marcus,
y'all was against Fields, man. Y'all no. We gonna have this show again. Y'all didn't want. I'm gonna be mad at y'all, man.
Marcus, let me insert this. When we talk about, and I've always hated this narrative about the NFL quarterback is the most important position in pro sports.
Mm-hmm.
Why are there so many horrible quarterbacks in the league then?
No, I agree with that. That's a great question. But then again, that actually is a question that can be for my leverage. There's so many that's so bad, but yet, you don't have multiple winners. You don't have repeat winners. There's a lot of parity in the league now. But if you look at the ones that are good, like Mahomes, they're multiple Super Bowl winners. Like Brady, they're multiple Super Bowl winners. They're like 4, 5, 6 championships. So I mean, it's a good question, man. But I don't know, man.
They got receivers, though.
Because the reason why that logic does not work for me, and I understand in sports, that's what they want. That narrative works for them. But quarterback, it's not. Running back, that's why the running back position is what it is in the league. It's the most talented position in pro sports. Running back is the most talented position in pro sports because you can insert almost any decent running back at any decent program into a decent system, and it works for them. I mean, you look at what the Bears did last year. They didn't. Bears haven't drafted a running back higher than number 2 since I think Peyton. Neil Anderson. Last time, that was the last time they drafted a quarterback. In the first round, they've hit almost every time that they've gone. I mean, going back to Raymond Harris, let me take that back. I forgot about Curtis Enis, who was a first round pick. I forgot the other one, Cedric Benson, who was pretty fair. He just had to get out of Chicago. It was a little bit too much, competition. I'm veering off the subject now that I think about it. But my point is, quarterback, and again, I hate that narrative because if the pro quarterback was the most important position in pro sports, they do better cultivating and developing quarterbacks, and teams just can't develop quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, like I said, I'd rather have 2 good receivers and, like you said, a decent quarterback than a dominating quarterback with 1 receiver, because that's what we're going through right now. I think we have a receiver and we have a decent quarterback, but as you see today's game, they had like a sort of like a double on Moore, and that's why he didn't really get to me. I think he had like about past 2, like maybe like 3, 4 times today. They had like a sort of like a spy, you know what I'm saying? They had somebody guard him.
They played a cover 2. And they put a shell over him. Right.
So now, because Mooney not playing, nobody's doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? What other receiver they had to do something? Nobody. Right.
But this is where the idiot offensive coordinator has to look at the film or look at the plays and say, oh, they're running a cover 2, a shell over everywhere. DJ Moore is, they're running a shell over there. It's basically a triple team because the strong safety and the free safety are gravitating over to him because nobody else is doing anything. But instead, you want to run these skinny posts, these outs instead of running drag ins.
3rd and 22, you throw a screen in today's game. What was that?
Element of surprise.
Oops, we've never run this play before. Here we go. Let's check this out.
3rd and 22, man. I mean, this within like the 5 minutes or whatever. 3rd and 22, and you try to do that. I don't want to talk about that game anymore. But but I mean,
I'm telling y'all, man, that was a late hit that on Fields.
They got to start calling that. Look, Eberflus. He should have went ballistic and potentially got kicked out that game because you can't until you do that and bring attention to it. They gonna keep doing it.
No, you know who should have went ballistic? One of his offensive linemen got kicked out of the game.
That too. Yeah. I mean, David should do it because he gonna play anyway. He should have just.
I honestly think if Lucas Patrick had played today, he would have done it.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Honestly, Lucas Patrick would have. I mean, he can't play center, but he will protect his quarterback.
Yeah, and you can't make me believe if Jordan Love gets that same hit, Patrick Mahomes, for crying out loud, God forbid,
Oh yeah.
Man, you're getting suspended 3 games. You
Yeah.
get Patrick Mahomes like that.
And go back and let Brady get that done to him.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
It's-
you out the
Come on now.
league. You out the league.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna transition to one more thing before we get up out of here. Let's touch on a little bit of the Bulls, because I want to do this. I want to do a whole thing about the Bulls, but we're just gonna get a little bit of taste of it right now because it needs to be talked about just a little bit. Let's do maybe like about 10 minutes. Y'all good for 10 minutes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Zach LaVine. Should we keep him? I mean, because now that he's back, and I'm glad that he's back. Not the way most people probably would like to see him back. I want to see him back because I want him to play so people can see that, bring up his value or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But anything he do good, see, we could use him. We could use him. Nah, nah, I don't like that narrative. I mean, he playing good, so his stock could go up. Now, let's go around the horn with Zach LaVine. What trade that you saw out there that you say, that's the trade I'll do? As you saw the Lakers trade, you saw a Golden State trade, you saw a Sacramento Kings trade. What would you do, or would you keep Zach LaVine right now? Let's start with who want to go first?
I just want to introduce this theory. All right, you're hearing it here first on your show, man. You know, the Brad Sellers theory. I know that's a name from the past. All right,
Mayor
but for
Brad
you
Sellers.
guys who followed the Bulls, Brad Sellers was the weak link and symbolized the Bulls losing. After the Bulls traded Brad Sellers, they went on to greatness. All right, so I'm saying the exact same thing with LaVine. LaVine needs to go because LaVine is a max player in salary only. He's a paper champion when it comes to that. So I think what you can do is any of those trades. Only one I didn't like was the one with Golden State, you know, because I don't want
that's my
Draymond
favorite.
Green.
Clay Thomas?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I want that one with Draymond Green. I like Wiggins, but hey, give me give me
Clay.
Green, not Green. Give me Clay and Wiggins. I'll make that trade right now.
I
You
want
know,
Wiggins. I don't know about Wiggins. Wiggins is
right.
like a Zach LaVine.
Right. But see, the only thing I want to do is free up that salary.
Yeah.
I want to free up that salary because of the fact that was a bad move. We made that move out of fear of people saying, "Oh, you couldn't lose him for nothing." You know. So for that reason, like you said, I want to see Zach come back. I want to see him play well, and then I want to see him on another team.
Tell us how you really feel, bro. Tell us how you really feel.
Let's go. Marcus, I know this is Joe's segment, but Terry, what you thinking?
Me, you know how I feel. I've wanted Zach LaVine out of here for the past 2-3 seasons. Not because he's not a good talent. It's because of what he does with the ball, how he stifles and stunts the growth of the young guys. I mean, I have nothing against Zach LaVine other than the fact that he does not integrate the young guys into the offense. I used for years, and you know from my posts, I always thought it was DeMar DeRozan who was the problem. It was actually Zach LaVine who was the problem. It's a good problem in a bad situation because you got young, good talent and they're not being developed properly because you're not involving them in the offense because you want everything to flow through you.
Right.
So that's my issue. I think trading him is a good thing for both teams because you can get good young assets. You can and still develop your players and give him an opportunity to go to another team and win, which he has never done in his career, in his pro career. But let me go back to the Brad Sellers. Brad Sellers was the original unicorn. A 7-footer shooting 3-pointers in 1987. Come on. Brad Sellers would be the greatest player in the NBA had he not been born 20 years or 30 years earlier than what he was.
He would be the greatest player if he went to the Wizard and got a heart. That was his problem.
His style of play then will translate now. Yeah, because I mean a big guy that could shoot or whatever, but he just didn't have back then. He just didn't have that toughness, you know what I'm saying? But since this Marcus wanted to talk about Zach LaVine, go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead. It's your floor.
Man, listen. Zach LaVine is my favorite player on the Bulls. That said, I'm a Bulls guy first. And logic would dictate that the team plays better. It's not even logic. It's an attest that the Bulls are better without Zach LaVine being on the floor. We saw that in the 16 games he's done. They had a winning record. Or that he set out. They had a winning record. But as we all know, especially in the NBA, evaluation is daily. And this one game Zach came back is not a large enough sample size. But I'm just going to go by what I saw and then what I heard. What I saw was Zach had 4 or 5 assists, and he had quite a few hockey assists, that pass you make before the actual guy makes the assist. And he seemed willing to fit into the offense. Maybe because he's heard these players, they probably got aliases in these sports groups just to hear what people are saying about them.
Oh, he know.
They look at the news daily. They know, give it to Zach. We're playing much better. The ball is moving. So this could be a facade. Could be a mirage. Any one of those things. But what I saw was him in this one game. It could be an aberration. But he fit in with the team. Just this one game. And what I heard after the game, when he was interviewed on the court, he said, the ball is moving. I like what I see. I like the offense. That's what I saw and what I heard. Maybe he plays with that way moving forward. So time is going to tell. I would like for Zach to keep that up because there's nothing wrong with a guy who's bought into an offense and still has the offensive skill set that Zach has. So there's nothing wrong with that. Just as long as he continues to do what he sat on the bench for 16 games and observe. Now, if Zach reverts to being Zach, and if he does that before the deadline, then it's a no-brainer. He has to go. I don't care if he's my favorite player. I don't care. He has to go. But I would say give it 4 or 5 more games, especially these 5 games on the road. That's a good telltale sign. You know what I mean? Just as we learned a lot without Zach being on the floor, we can learn a lot in a nice sample size. Has Zach bought in? Is Zach down from 25 points to 19 and 20 points with 6 assists and passing the ball and not taking impossible shots, getting stripped and hollering, hey, no, you lost the ball.
Oh, yeah.
You lost the ball. If he doesn't do that, then he's back to being Zach. But if he's DeRozan just shot, I'm about to shoot too. No,
my turn.
That my turn hero ball. If we see that over 4 or 5 games, in other words, Zach said, "Man, I'm shooting." Then we don't need that Zach. And I love Zach. That's Zach Lightning. That's my corny nickname for him.
Yes.
I don't like. So I would say, again, I'm on the fence. But if I see Zach continue in one game, is not a large enough sample size. But what I saw and what I heard would dictate. Let's roll with Zach. Just me. I know I'm in the minority, but that's just me.
Hey, Marcus, can I add on one more point? So I like Zach too, when he first came. When he got traded for Jimmy, I was like, yeah, you know what, this dude can ball. But the thing that I've seen with Zach, somebody said before, Zach wants to be a superstar without putting in the superstar work.
Right.
And so what I want to see in addition to him, being a willing participant in the overall offense is him playing the defense like he played when he was on the Dream Team, because that is what will separate him and make the Bulls a much better team.
Absolutely.
That comes down to coaching.
You guys are not wrong, man. I'm telling you, y'all are wrong. Y'all right. That's why I said we need to. So I mean, if you're saying this, like it's almost like with Justin Fields. If Justin Fields continues to improve, which he did, we got that sample size from Justin Fields. So I think you can actually correlate the Bears and Zach LaVine situation. Now I'm in a minority with that. 3 of you guys said keep Justin Fields. Why? Because he made the strides. And we know if he get the tools, he's going to be even better. Same thing with Zach. Is Zach continues to make the stride. Maybe you guys don't want him anymore because he's been here for so long and he has not changed. But you got to remember, one big factor that we're omitting is Lonzo Ball not being here on this team.
Absolutely.
When Lonzo Ball was here, Zach was in check.
He was cherry picking.
In fact, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference when Lonzo Ball went down. Zach was held in check. Why? Because we had a guy who started the breaks. We had a guy that distributed the ball. If Zach buys into Kobe doing that, then he's okay. So that's what I'm saying. Let's give him 5-6 games. If he says skip Kobe, I'm shooting, then trade him. Find a market for him. That's all I'm saying. Just give him time. Just like maybe Donovan has bought a little bit more time. And I'm like, get rid of Donovan. I don't like Donovan. Maybe he's bought a little more time with what we've seen. Donovan was okay when Ball was here, right? So maybe we got to give him a little bit more time. I don't know.
You know the difference with Zach with me on this team now versus then is that, and the comparison that you just made with Justin is that Zach's replacement is already on the team, and he's a more efficient player. He just doesn't dunk.
Good point.
If Kobe White was a big dunker and all of that flash stuff, there would be no question about getting Zach out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zach is a good player. He's a great player. He's just in the wrong setting. And a lot of people, a lot of fans don't give Kobe enough credit because he's not a flashy player. He's a very efficient player at times, not always. But he's turned around and he doesn't do all of those dumb, all of that dumb stuff that he used to do. Mm-hmm. He's a better player now. And this is after getting his bag.
Yeah.
Most players don't do that. So he's bought in. But I would, going back to Marcus, I would love for Zach to buy in. I mean, he can still get his 20 to 25 points as long as it's in the context and the flow of the system.
Agreed.
Well, my thing with Zach is I think we let too much time go by of him and Billy Donovan bickering back and forth. So someone has to go, and they already made a decision. It's going to be Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
It's too much stuff that's out there with the media, the fans, and his agency saying that he requested a trade and stuff. Once you get to that point right there, it's really you could go back, but do you really want to go back? You know what I'm saying? Because right now, if you go back, you got to reconstruct how you want to talk to the fans, the media, and stuff like that. Because first you was on your way out. Now you back in. If they still have Ball, I'm all for it because, like I said, he was cherry picking. He wasn't playing no defense. He was cherry picking he was getting all his points by cherry picking. You know what I'm saying? I hope Ball was to come back, but I don't know if Ball come back, he's going to be the same player when he left. And I think they think he's going to come back that same player because they haven't really picked up a point guard that you figure that they needed. They still haven't did that. I don't know why, but
that's Kobe. That's Kobe White. And just so you know, Terry, and say it to vouch for it, I made my predictions in the preseason. Kobe White is that guy this year. This is his breakout year. I'm rolling with Kobe White. I mean, it does kind of make Zach expendable. But speaking of being expendable, if Zach buys in, then he becomes a luxury, right? You got Kobe White playing well and Zach with his weapons. He goes from expendable to a luxury at that point.
Absolutely.
But last thing. But does that hurt Patrick Williams now?
It does. In my opinion, it does because now it takes his shots away.
Well, then maybe the de facto tiebreaker is just getting Zach off the books because that's a win by itself.
Yeah,
just get him off the books. So maybe the Bulls got their homework. They got things to think about.
Well, like I said, we'll definitely touch more about the Bulls since the football season is over. We just wanted to tackle in on that Zach LaVine things going on. I guess we'll transition to basketball now and to the draft come around and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Cubs socks? Did you say Cubs and socks?
Come on, man. I ain't saying nothing about no Cubs and socks.
I thought that's what you just said. My bad, man.
We could never have a show like that. We'll be on here for like 3 hours.
Man, they'll be like, man, they'll be texting each other. What time you got work, Terry? Man, let the fools talk about stuff.
No, man, I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I like to do this.
These kind of pictures. This is the stuff I'm getting.
Cool.
This is the stuff.
From a Packer fan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I hate the Packers fan, man.
This is the kind of stuff I'm getting right here.
Who's with that book to you? Big Chili or somebody?
No, one of my boys, Derek Parker.
Oh, man.
See, we got to deal with that. So we can't say nothing about that until they actually get out the playoffs.
Right.
No, but like I said, I like to do this again, like about with the basketball season and stuff like that, man. Like I said, whatever you guys got time or whatever permits, if we could do it once a week, I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I love to do this type of stuff right here.
Oh yeah, I can roll with this.
Yeah,
and just to add
definitely.
a caveat to that, Drake,
Gotcha.
Andre Drummond needs to play more. I know he's a foul problem, but dude he's a problem.
How do we
Yeah.
do
That's
a
the problem.
Bull
Dude
segment
is a
without?
problem.
We win a whole Bull segment without even mentioning Drummond's name. That's a good
Yeah.
call. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I mean, whenever we got time to do it again or whatever, like I said, I mean, if we could do it again, whatever you guys available, just let me know. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this.
Okay.
No doubt.
For sure.
All right, man. Y'all
All
take
right,
it
fellas.
easy, man. Like I said, tomorrow, tune in tomorrow. People who are still on, tune in tomorrow because Marcus will be doing his Cat Williams thing. You know, we'll talk about Cat Williams and his rant and exposing the industry.
Cat Williams.
So-
Williams, man. That's a lot to unpack there, man.
Get that
So we'll be
wig
back
too.
we'll be back tomorrow at 8:30. Tune in to that because it's gonna be off the hook.
Let's do it.
So
All right, good people.
All right,
y'all
guys.
take it
Thanks for
easy.
having me.
Yes,
Fellas,
sir.
have a good one, man.
Yep.
All right.